I slammed my door in the deputy sheriff's face. It was the first time that night. Why? Let me rewind. It was after 9 p.m. on a Friday night, and I was home alone. My husband had left early that morning, slamming the door as he left. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Is the pizza delivery boy lost again? Is it my neighbor? Is there a serial killer at the door? I was frazzled. My house looked like a tornado hit. Who would be coming to visit me at that hour? Ugh, do I have to answer the door? Contest master and anyone who's ever felt exhausted, anxious, and afraid of strangers in the dark. I was terrified. I peeked out of the window beside the front door, which obligated me to answer since the two people standing there were looking directly at me. When I opened the door, there stood a deputy sheriff and a young woman. He was mumbling something about a large spider. Now, you may have heard that the number one fear in the world is public speaking. That can't be right. Spiders are way worse. I wondered why a spider was ringing my doorbell at that hour and why it was accompanied by a deputy sheriff and his trainee. As I was opening the door, a monster the size of a small pony with 8 legs came galloping toward the door. I was in the middle of slamming the door in the deputy's face so the spider wouldn't come into the house. I was too late. The spider was already inside my home. A more rational person might have wondered what the deputy was there for, but I was jumping up and down, screaming loudly and opening the door, hoping that the monster spider would go back out where it came from. This was no itsy bitsy spider. I knew that if that 8-legged freak successfully hid inside the house, one of us would have to move out immediately. The only other option I could think of was to set the house on fire. As that spider on steroids headed back out the door, the deputy asked me, "Do you want us to kill it?" Yes. Marjane, you do it. Spiders give me the willies. I thought, great, she's going to shoot it. And she did. Marjane, I thought you were going to stomp on it. Sorry, boss. Then Clara Jean started tap dancing on my front porch like she was auditioning for Dancing with the Stars. Ma'am, it was carrying babies on its back. They're all over the rug inside your front door. You might just want to flip that rug outside. Well, thankfully, she picked up the baby spider infested rug. Then she flung it onto the front porch. When I looked down, there were thousands, well, maybe 17 baby spiders skittering around inside my front door. I screamed, "I'm going to go get the bug spray." Once again, I slammed the door in their faces. I made a run for the bug spray and gassed those baby spiders. It's amazing that I'm still alive to tell the tale. It was a full 3 days before I could breathe again after poisoning myself and the house with the bug spray. Still, I wondered how many of those spider babies had escaped my spray of death. I'm glad I wasn't bitten by one of those freaks. I'm not Peter Parker, and I certainly don't want to become Spider Woman. After stepping out onto the porch to talk to the deputy and to get out of that toxic house, the sheriff asked if a Robert Monahan lived here. I wondered what kind of trouble my husband must be in. He told me he was working late, but what was he really doing? I didn't think he would do anything heinous, but had he robbed a bank, assaulted a little old lady, stolen a candy bar? Hmm. How well did I really know him? Even if we had been married for over 25 years. Well, as it turns out, not as well as I thought. He's now my ex husband, and that's another story. Does your husband own a motorcycle? Yes. Do you know where it's at? Well, I know it's not my living room. I checked there at least twice this past week. Let me get my cell phone and call him. Once again, I went inside, slammed the door in their faces, and left Clara Jean and the deputy standing on the front porch. I tried desperately to reach my missing husband, but there was no answer. By this time, I was back on the porch trying to explain that I didn't really know how many motorcycles Robert owned. The deputy thought someone had stolen my husband's motorcycle. Turns out he had sold it, and the paperwork wasn't clear. Maybe I should have been more afraid of slamming a door in the deputy's face. Maybe I should have been more afraid of why a deputy was asking about my husband. Or maybe I should have just used that spray on my husband. Much like a spider, it turns out he was also good at spinning webs. Webs of lies. Contest master.